Welcome into the In the Money podcast for Saturday, December 2nd. Tom Leach along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's director of mutuals and simulcasting. They've got a nice card up in New York with three graded stakes races that make up the late pick four along with a maiden race. And we're going to take a look at those races and get pick four as well. And it culminates with their last race of the day being the Grade 1 Cigar Mile. We'll get there in a second, Jim, but let's start with the Grade 2 Demoiselle for two-year-old fillies. And I like these two-year-old races that Aqueduct does this late in the year because they're both mile and an eighth races. That's a little different factor into the mix, and so gives you something else to think about. Who did you go to in the eighth race for the fillies?
Yeah, I think a logical thing to say is that these fillies have not been this distance because they haven't. I don't think there's been a mile and eighth race for a two-year-old filly yet, has there?
I don't think so.
None of these have, anyway. So I went with the class of the race. Wonder Godot for Mark Cassey comes out of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. And she had a tough trip there and still only got beat by 5 3/4. She was in contention. She was 3.5 lengths out at the top of the stretch, and she just she got bumped a little bit, checked up behind the horses, and finished up evenly. She was 12-1, Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, so people gave her a shot out there. And now she comes back and to a Grade 2. She hasn't been a mile and eight. This is only her second dirt race, but her first dirt race was pretty good, coming out of the 11 hole out the Del Mar. So I think that race sets her up well for this one, and I think she's going to be the favorite. Also could use Daisy, undefeated but untested. One that attempted the Grade 3 at Aqueduct last time out at a mile and looked like she wanted more distance. So she's out of blame, and I think that she certainly fits well here. Don't think the one hole hurts her. They're going to have to send her, and she may just go off and hide. And nothing else shows a great deal of speed in here. Wonder Godot is going to went to the lead in the Grade 3 at Woodbine, but there's only 4 horses there, so you can't really tell how much speed she really wants to show. So Daisy may go a long way on the lead. The only other horse that I liked in here was the other John Service, Maurer Power. Big buyer jump at Parks last time. Almost looks too good to be true, coming from a 39 maiden special weight Delaware to an allowance race with an 85. That was first Lasix off a 4-month layoff. So if she takes a step forward, she can compete as well. But Wonder Godot is my pick here in the Demoiselle.
I started to single the one you led with, Wonder, and I think it may be Godot because I saw the young lady who plays Wonder Woman interviewed, and her name is Gal Gadot, and I'm assuming that's who this horse is. It's got to be named after Wonder Woman. So, but this
Well, you just got all the angles. I am so proud of you. Why didn't you tell me that before we started recording? And I would not have pronounced it wrong.
Didn't even think about it until you mentioned it. And it's the natural. Okay. I mean, it's Trevor Denman called it Wonder Godot in the race. It's understandable. I just happened to see this young lady interviewed, and anyway, the horse, like you said, I started to single just because she's a Grade 3 winner. She had some bad luck in the Breeders' Cup race. I think the jock change is noteworthy to, I think it's Johnny V. And I think this horse looks awfully strong in here. But you mentioned Daisy. I'm going to throw that one into my pick 4 ticket as well, just because she was so impressive in winning the Grade 3 Tempted. So I'm going to use those two, and that's it in the pick 4. But Wonder Godot is going to be the win pick for me. Ninth race goes to the Grade 2 Remsen, and this is the boys going a mile and an eighth. And I think Avery Island looks awfully strong here off winning the Grade 2 Nashua, the prep for this. But I'm also intrigued by Catholic Boy. Has a couple of 2-turn races under his belt and ran well out at the Breeders' Cup. First time on the dirt, but he's got a pedigree for it. And if he can run on the dirt anything close to what he's run on the turf, then I think he could be dangerous in here. So I like both of those horses for the pick 4 kind of equally. So I'm going to, if I had to pick one, I would probably lean to Avery Island, but you'll probably get I'm sure you'll get a better price on Catholic Boy. So I'm strong on those two. Otherwise, you've got some horses that come off impressive maiden wins, like Bandito for Romans, Vouch coming out of Laurel. You've got a maiden for Chad Brown that certainly looks dangerous. He won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile with a maiden. Biblical's off a maiden win for Pletcher, albeit after a few starts. So any of those could be dangerous if you can afford to go deeper. You can look at those, or you can maybe see how it's not going to help you see how the betting's going because it'll be too deep into the pick 4. But within the race, you can see how the betting's going. But I'm going to Slight lean to Avery Island, but really a toss-up Avery Island Catholic boy for me in the Remsen. How about you?
Yeah, we didn't talk about this before the races, before the podcast started, but I agree with you 100%. I think Catholic Boy makes a lot of sense here. It's an interesting move to dirt off the Trouble Trip in the turf, but there were a lot of people betting him. He was kind of the it horse out there. He went off at 6-1. I think he had I think there was a 15-1 morning line or something, and he only finished a length and a half behind Mendelssohn, who was pretty impressive and got a great trip. And you can make a case for it. That was a great setup race for this. If he takes the dirt, he's out of more than ready, so he should be fine. Avery Island is the likely favorite off that Grade 2 Nashville win. He won for fun, won by 4 3/4, comes back and stretches out, and it should go well for him. And then my third choice was Tom, second out for Chad Brown, and he was rolling at the end of the first race. And the fact that he didn't get up doesn't mean a thing to me. I like him better than Triple Dog Dare, who finished second in that race. So I think Al-Khatam has a shot at a little bit of a price, and Ortiz takes a ride back. So that's the three I would use in the pick four with Avery Island maybe, but I'm like you. If Catholic Boy is a better price, I might go with him.
That takes us to the Grade 1 Cigar Mile, the 10th race on the card. I always think this is one of the more fun betting races of the year because you get horses stretching out, horses that are cutting back. Some ran in the Breeders' Cup. You got to decide if they are past their prime for this year. Horses coming off layoffs, second or third off of layoffs. You got a lot of different angles to play coming into the Cigar Mile. Where did you land?
I landed on the most logical horse, but I agree with you that there are horses stretching out. There are horses that are in really good form right now. There are horses that are mile specialists. I didn't think Sharp Azteca, the sixth, I didn't think he would get beat in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. And Battle of Midway ran him down. He still fought back, and I thought ran an outstanding race. And I'm going to use him here. He's 5 for 8 at the distance, great form, and I think he's got one more big performance in him. He's been so consistent. His worst buyer in the last 6 is 106. And I think, and Castellano from Lopez, if you like Castellano, and I think that's a move up in jockey quality, although Paco fit this horse very well. Tom's Ready has a shot. The 4 horse jumped way up in the Bold Ruler at 7 furlongs, and it's probably a mile's going to hit him right between the eyes. But he lost to Sharp Azteca a couple back in the Kelso, so I'm going to take Sharp Azteca as a better shot than him. Practical Joke, the 8, is a one-turn mile specialist. I didn't like him in the Breeders' Cup, but I like him here because he's going back to a one-turn mile at Aqueduct, and he certainly flourished after Chad's taking him back to sprint distances. And Mind Your Biscuits, the one, is the one that stretches out from the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Now, I don't know how a mile's going to fit him. He's only been the distance one time, but you certainly got to say he was closing at the end of the sprint, so he may fit as well. And the other horses in here that have a shot, possibly Americanized, and Beasley on the outside is interesting. Only got beat by Tom's Ready at 22-1. Got beat by 3/4 of the length and was 6 wide in the Bold Ruler. But I think Sharp Azteca, if I had to single a horse in the sequence, I think I would single him. I didn't in the pick 4. I took a couple of horses in here, but he is my pick, the 6 horse.
I'm going to try to beat him on 2 angles. There's some California speed in the 5 horse in here, which might cause him a little bit of a problem. And the other being that I'm going to try to play against him with the idea that maybe he fired his best shot at the Breeders' Cup, whereas the horse I'm going to pick, Practical Joke, it's almost like the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile was a prep for this. He's 2 for 3 at a mile, but the 2 wins are both around 1 turn, which this will be. And I think this horse is at his best at 7 furlongs to 1 mile around 1 turn, and that's what he'll get here. And I think he is one of the best at that there is running right now. And so I think he's getting the ideal setup to get a Grade 1, and this is his time to do it. And so I'm going to take him. Got to use Sharp Azteca, certainly. The other 2 that I'm going to throw into my pick 4 that'll be prices. One is Summer Revolution. This horse is making the second start of a long layoff for Rudy Rodriguez. Second start, this horse ran a 105 buyer up at Saratoga and then went into a Grade 1, and then it just kind of went downhill from there. I don't know what happened, but he was off for about a year. Now he's back with a prep and it looks like that's all that was, just a prep for this. I don't know if he's good enough, but he'll be a nice price, so I'm going to have him on my ticket. And then the other one's Tom's Ready, just on the 2 angles of the huge buyer jump last time to a 107 in that race that he won. And Mike Smith comes in to ride. Big Money Mike coming all the way across country to ride this. So I'm going to use all 4 of those on my Pick 4 ticket. So we'll go to that. 7th race is where it starts, and the 7th race that starts the Pick 4 is a 6-furlong turf race for 2-year-old New York bred maiden fillies. So got a bunch of horses that haven't started, and if you got the budget, I think we'd both probably agree to go all, but to keep the ticket affordable, I'm going to use 6 horses in here. Silverado Mist might, if I had to pick a win pick, it'd probably be that one for Bill Mott. I think the 9 Straw Hat, the 11 Scatback, the 12 Stone Factor, the 2 Lady Rosina, and the 14 Kathy Naz probably won't get in, but if she does, I'm going to have her on my ticket too. So 2, 5, 9, 11, 12, 14 to start it for me. Then I'm going to use Wonder Godot and Daisy, and then I'm going to use Avery Island and Catholic Boy, so 6 by 2 by 2, and then the 4 I mentioned in the Cigar Mile. So that'll be a $96 ticket for $1, so cut that in half, and it makes it under $50. Jim, how about you?
Well, I took 6 as well in the 7th race. I think the maiden special weight, and you make a rule and you say if you don't like the race, you got to go all. I could go all in here in single Sharp Azteca, so that's going to be my alternate Pick 4 ticket for you. If you can hit the all button in single Sharp Azteca, that's probably what I'd do. Cutting it down to 6, I would use the first-time starters because they haven't proven that they can't win, and first-time starters a lot of times win these 2-year-old races. I'm going to use Lady Rosina, the 2 for Englehart. I'm going to use the 4 Rachel's Blue Moon for James Jerkins, the 7 JCS Star for Carlos Martin, the 10 horse that Summer Squeeze for Mark Hennig, and then the 11 and 12 that have been out, Scatback with Castellano up, and then Stone Factor coming off a pretty good race on the turf, and actually led to the top of the stretch and just kind of gave in. So I'm going to use his speed from outside and picks up Johnny V rides it back. So I think the 12's got a shot here. So 2, 4, 7, 10, 11, 12. The other 2, I think we agree. Daisy and Wonder Godot are the 1, 3 in the next leg. And then I'm going to go 3 deep in the Remsen with the 3 Avery Island, the 5 Catholic Boy, and 7 Alcatom. And then the last leg, the Cigar Mile, I'm going to use Mind Your Biscuits, the 1 horse, just in case he can stretch out to a mile. And with Sharp Azteca, the 6, and the 8 Practical Joke. So that's 6 by 2 by 3 by 3. So that is $54.50.
Best of luck with your wagers on the Saturday card at Aqueduct. And Jim, there's also a really nice card down at Gulfstream. We focused on Aqueduct for our In the Money podcast here, but the Claiming Crown always has some good-sized fields, and you get some good prices usually.
Yeah, I think we tried to handicap it this time last year, and I don't think either one of us got one right. So you look at 12 and 14 horse fields coming from all over the country. Horses in really good form, so you can get some prices there, but it's very difficult to winnow them out. But it's a giveaway over $1.2 million in total purses for horses that have been running at $10,000 to $20,000 to $50,000 claiming level. So it's an interesting card at Gulfstream. It actually starts a little bit early. I think the first post is 11:50. Aqueduct also starts a little bit early. I was just thinking earlier that the Cigar Mile might need headlights on because it's going to run a little bit late in New York. So that's 11:50 first post time for Aqueduct. But it's a great day of racing for the first Saturday in December.
One angle, interesting angle for casual players I'll throw out there on the Claiming Crown, and Mike Maker's always a guy you look at for this angle down there. But sharp guys, they play the training game very sharp, like Maker, and look for recent claims and what a lot of times these guys are doing is they know the Claiming Crown's coming and there's a big opportunity for a big purse, and so they claim a horse at a circuit they're at in maybe October or early November with an eye, or even earlier, but with an eye on this day to cash in, and you can get some nice payoffs.
Yeah, I think Mr. Ramsey is kind of the king of the claimers. So
yeah,
he had 1 year down there. He won 3 or 4 races, I think, 2 years ago.
That sounds right.
Might not be a bad angle, Mr. Ramsey and Mr. Maker.
Best of luck with your Saturday wagers. That's the In the Money podcast from KeenelandSelect.com.